In the quiet of the asylum, Ivan Bezdomny's solitude is broken by a mysterious night visitor who slips in through the balcony, nervous, courteous, and wearing hospital clothes. He warns Ivan to keep silent and confides that he too is confined there, not for violence, but for knowing too much. The two men exchange wary trust. The stranger disapproves of Ivan's crude verse and persuades him to renounce poetry altogether. When Ivan recounts his encounter with Woland, the stranger listens raptly, confirms the devil's reality, and reveals himself as the master, a writer destroyed by his own creation, a novel about Pontius Pilate. The master tells of his past, a historian who, after winning a fortune, withdrew into a small basement apartment to write. There he met a woman carrying yellow flowers, a love so absolute it consumed them both. She became his secret wife, his muse, and the first believer in his novel. When the master's manuscript on Pilate was rejected and denounced by editors and critics, his world collapsed. Vilified in print, betrayed by colleagues, and undone by fear, he descended into paranoia and despair, ultimately burning his own book while his beloved tried in vain to save him from spiritual ruin. Having recounted his downfall, the master calmly accepts his madness as permanent. He calls himself nameless, incurable, and resigned. Refusing Ivan's plea to continue the tale of Pilate, he bids him good night, steps onto the moonlit balcony, and disappears, leaving only the echo of his tragedy and the promise of his return. The nocturnal encounter fuses madness and revelation. Bulgakov turns the clinic into a liminal world where reason loosens its grip and the miraculous seeps in. The master's stealthy entrance literalizes the intrusion of meaning into modern emptiness, the instant when prophecy meets history. Their conversation dramatizes the transfer of moral and imaginative vocation from one fallen artist to another. Ivan's renunciation of propaganda poetry marks the start of his redemption. The master's despair becomes the seed of Ivan's awakening. This is not confession, it is initiation. The woman with yellow flowers becomes Bulgakov's most luminous symbol. Love as both salvation and doom, her blossoms, sunlight tinged with decay, foretell the fusion of eros and tragedy that defines the novel's inner cosmos. Through her, art and life merge into one fatal gesture toward transcendence. The master's persecution captures the fate of art in an authoritarian state, where imagination and moral truth are treated as subversion. His rejected manuscript becomes evidence of guilt, and his despair mirrors the crucifixion of creative freedom itself. When he burns his novel, the act stands as both surrender and protest, a private Golgotha where the artist's faith in truth is tested and in destruction purified. The master's disappearance completes his tragedy and his redemption. Erased from public life, he survives through the story itself, turning personal failure into a kind of immortality. His loss of name and place becomes a rebirth through art. In Bulgakov's vision, the true artist never dies, but lives on in the work that outlasts him.